Hi everybody, my name is Luke and I'm a member of Living Rock Church. I just wanted to share some encouragement with you this morning from Psalm 46, the famous verse that says to be still and know that I am God. You know, just before lockdown began, my wife bought me a book which was called A Time for Silence. It's not by a Christian author per se. It describes a period of time where the writer spent on retreat in a monastery in France in the 1980s. It seems like a strange book for my wife to buy me, but she felt prompted and she felt that was something prophetic, and as it was, it turned out to be the case. I don't know about you, but at times I found prayer to be quite challenging during this season. Every day we've been confronted by negative headlines despite our best efforts to not read the news. We've been faced with distressing statistics. We've journeyed with people who have endured loss and grief during this time. There's been so much to pray about and so many seemingly daunting circumstances that we're faced with that quite quickly my prayer life became quite crowded. It became quite repetitive, full of lists and demands and distractions. The instinct in a crisis is to try and fix it, is to try and make a change, is to pray like never before. But truthfully, it wasn't really working for me. Instead, I felt God was calling me into a time of stillness, into a time of silence. This famous verse of be still and know that I am God began to really ring true during this time. The Hebrew word to be still, I discovered, was the word rapha, which is a very, very deep word, but it has a sense of letting go, of ceasing, or even weakening. Its command in this verse goes against our natural instinct, which is to struggle and to fight and to hold on. You know, one evening early on, this became very clear to me, after trying to pray in the way that I've been praying, I just had to give up. And I said to God, I just want to hear what you're saying. How do you want me to pray? What do you want me to do? Because I don't know how to pray about all these things that are going on. To my surprise, in that moment, the presence of God I became acutely aware of the presence of God in that moment. But he didn't say a word. Instead, we sat in silence for about half an hour and listened to the birds singing outside as the sun set. And I realized in that moment that this stillness and this intimacy, this simple act of sharing his creation together, was actually what he wanted from me at that time. After the sun had set, I then began to pray. Only this time I was praying from a place of connection, from a place of relationship, from a place of love. I had a perspective and a peace that allowed me to pray effectively and really pray his heart and his words back to him, which is ultimately what prayer is. So I'm beginning to understand in this season that God's greatest gift is always himself. Prayer is less transactional and more relational. In the upside down of the world of the kingdom, for me to spend time in silence with God is sometimes more important than filling the void with my words. I'm not saying that we need to stop praying for our family, for our friends, for our world during this time, but I am saying that we can enjoy the space that he's given us, that it is time for us to press into him in intimacy, to not be afraid of the silence, and allow space for an intimate connection. I'm not saying I've always found it easy, but when I have managed to find the space for this, my subsequent prayers have become much more effective, and they've become much more faith-filled, they've become much more compassionate. So I just want to encourage you during this time, if you've been finding it hard to pray, or if prayer has been elusive during this time, please be encouraged you're not alone. And I really would encourage you to embrace the silence, spend the time with God, enjoy his presence, and let that be the motivation for your prayer life. as we intercede for all the things that are going on around us at the moment. Bless you guys.
Thanks for joining us today. Search for us online and get information about upcoming events and more great teaching.